This is going to be one of the most bizarre stories you heard of a police interrogation, and by the end of the story, you're going to be like, how the hell did they miss that? Just get into it. This story is about a lady named Heather Kwan and a guy named Ryan Waller, and they both rented out a house in Desert Hills, Arizona. In 2006, Ryan's dad was preparing a nice Christmas dinner with him and Ryan and Heather, but they never showed up. It seemed real strange to Ryan's dad that they didn't show up for Christmas dinner, so he then called the Desert Hill Police Department and asked them to do a well-being check. The police then showed up at Ryan and Heather's address. They knocked on the door a couple times and nobody answered. So they started walking around the property, looking through the window. They didn't see anybody, but they saw a car in the driveway. Nobody answered the door. So they then went and knocked again, and then Ryan opened the door. When Ryan answered the door, he had like obvious marks all over his face and a huge black eye. When the police inquired about it, he was kind of standoffish and defensive and was like he didn't know why his eye was black. The police began to tell him like why they're there, that Ryan's dad sent them over for a well-being check because they didn't show up, and asked was everything okay. Ryan said it was. So the police looked past Ryan and saw a woman laying on the couch. So when the police asked Ryan who was that laying on his couch, Ryan said that was my girlfriend. She was sleeping. The plot thickens. The police was like, okay, so can we go check on her because your dad sent us over to do a well-being check for the both of you, and we just want to let him know that both of y'all are okay. So Ryan was still like acting weird. He was like, no, she's sleeping. What's going on? Everything's okay. And they was like, he's acting a little bit weird, but whatever. Can we just check on Heather? And he was like, okay, fine. Once the police entered the house, they realized Heather was not sleeping. Heather was dead. They instantly arrested Ryan and put him in the back of a squad car. Ryan was then sitting in the back of the squad car for a few hours before they transported him back to the police station. And once the police transported him to the police department and arrested him, they let him sit there for another hour or so by himself, and he was acting real strange. So he went into the police interrogation room. In this interrogation room, they questioned Ryan for hours without getting any information about why he killed Heather. They were so convinced that Ryan marks on his face came from Heather trying to defend herself. They was just basically like, just tell us why you did it, Ryan. Tell us why you killed Heather. After hours of interrogating Ryan, the police started zooming in on those marks and bruises that was on his face. Those so-called defensive wounds that was on Ryan's face was actually 4 bullet holes. He was a victim just like Heather. Alright, so apparently we have to go back. So 2 days before that well-being check, so 2 days, which is the 23rd of December of 2006, a guy by the name Richie Carver and his father Larry Carver broke into Ryan and Heather's house and shot them multiple times. This was a result from a feud that happened a while back, and Richie and Larry just wanted to get revenge. They broke into their house and tried to kill him. Unfortunately, Heather succumbed to her injuries, and Ryan ended up waking up hours later, not knowing what was going on, not knowing what happened because he had severe brain damage. By the time the police arrived, he thought that Heather was sleeping, and he really didn't know what was going on. So that's why he was acting weird. When the police came to do the well-being check, Ryan really did not know what was going on. They jumped to conclusions thinking that he killed Heather because he wouldn't give them the information that they was asking, but he really didn't know what happened. By the time the detectives realized that he was actually a victim and he was shot multiple times in his head, he had already been neglected for medical attention and had severe brain damage. When he finally got treated, they had to remove part of his brain as well as his eyesight. Eventually, Ryan had to move back in with his parents. They became his full-time caretakers, and 10 years later, he ended up dying of a direct result to this gunshot wound and not being medically treated in time. See you in the next story.